How's it going, guys? Today we're checking out my universal clipless body mounts shown here on a TT-02. So these mounts are going to be mounting to any 6mm body post. So you're basically going to be snipping them, mounting the chassis pieces onto that. And then I have various options for the body side. So with that, I'm going to show you guys what the different options are, how to install them, and how they work. All right, so starting out here, right now this is in the lock. So if I grab the body, shake it around, it's super solid, not going anywhere. And then right now I have this set up so that longitudinally with the body, this is the locked position, and then a simple 90-degree twist like that will unlock it, and then you just pick it up directly vertically from underneath. So I usually recommend sort of reaching underneath and just popping it straight up like that. Same thing on that side in the back, and then you can see the body comes off just like so. You can see these are the chassis pieces. To put it back on, just drop it in, wiggle it around basically till you find the slot, give it a little 90-degree twist. There you go, like so. Once it's on, nice and latched just like that, not going anywhere. Again, 90-degree twist. I kind of just reach under to pop it up vertically since you want to release this vertically. Body comes off like that. You can see it stays attached to the body on the underside. And on the chassis side here, as I mentioned, these are the standard TT-02 body posts. These are 6mm in diameter. You can essentially use any body post that is 6mm in diameter. That's going to be what's going into the bottom of this. And then you notice there are 4 different holes. So you can basically mount this in 90-degree increments. So this way, this way. So that way if you want to have your lock be perpendicular to the body instead of longitudinally in line with the body, you can change that just by rotating these 90 degrees. So just take note of that. The orientation like this, when it's sideways, that means that locked will be underneath the covers here. So that means locked will be going this way. If you rotate it like this, that means locked will be going perpendicular. So a couple quick things I did want to note on the chassis side. So there is a spec drawing sheet in the listing, so be sure to look at that. So because these pieces bolt onto the body post here, there is a minimum required clearance. So with that, you can see on the front here, I'm kind of right up to the bottom of that clearance, whereas on the rear, I have a lot more flexibility. So make sure you just take a look at those measurements and make sure that where you want your body to sit is going to work for the solution. Depending on how high or low your body is, this may not work for you. So I want to make sure that you're aware of that, and you make sure to look at that drawing and look at those dimensions to make sure that the body's going to sit where you want it to sit. But it's super simple to mount these chassis pieces on. Basically, all you're going to do is figure out where the height of your body, where you want it to sit, and you can always remove more material. So you just start by snipping your body post off, slide this on, bolt it in, see where the body sits, and then you can lower it down. If you measure twice, you should be able to just cut it once and then place it on there. So if you have any questions about that, it's super simple, and then you just run the included M2 bolt from one side to the other side, and that securely mounts that in. And then because this is bolted to the nylon body post, these are super freaking durable, and I would have a very hard time seeing you guys break one of these. More likely than not, you're gonna break a lot more if you end up somehow damaging these. So now we get into the options. So if you notice on my body here, the hood is fairly flat, but then I have a taper in the rear here. So hood, fairly flat, the rear there's taper. So because these pieces only work with the body side mounts going in vertically, we need to account for that. So how do we account for that? Well, we have different height body side pieces. So you can see here, the lowest option we have is the 10mm. And so this is just using an M3 by 10mm and then up through 16. And so what that's for, the 10mm, this is for very flat surfaces. So you can see this hood is essentially, once I have it up here, it's essentially flat with these pieces. So that's gonna work really well with the 10mm. The 12mm option, this is gonna be for if you have ridges in the bed of your truck that are anywhere from 1 to 2 millimeters high, or your body is sloped at a 10-degree angle, approximately. If you have greater than that, you're gonna wanna step up to potentially the 14mm option, which is 17 degrees. And then the highest option is 16 millimeters at around 23.6 degrees. You want to just kind of find the option that's the closest to it. There's obviously going to be a little bit of body flex here, things of that nature. So in the rear, I actually have two options here just to kind of show you the difference, because when you are mounting these, there's going to be a little bit of flex on both sides. So if we look at this, the body posts underneath are actually able to flex a little bit. And so that's going to decrease the angle that is actually needed for this. So depending on how tight you want it, you can also always add foam on the underside to push the body up to basically make it more secure so that you don't get any rattling or that kind of thing. And then on the underside, these pieces are all the same. So I just pop this off here, again, just pop it up vertically. All the pieces on the underside are the same for all the pieces regardless of height. It is just this little tab here that basically gets taller or shorter. The underside pieces stay the same with their lock nut. And then as mentioned, the chassis pieces have that 90 degree, so you can mount it in 90 degree increments depending on how you want your locking setup to go. So the way that we install these is super simple. Here I have the 12 millimeter one. So you can see this has a shorter tab. I already have the M3 by 12 millimeter in there. And then I put my M3 lock nut on the underside piece. And you notice there is two small tabs on either piece. We need to make sure that these match up, because that's what's going to control to make sure that these rotate together. So we're going to take this piece, slide it through the hood here. And then this piece, I like to slide it through and make sure that the tabs are lined up on the underside. So that way if I'm spinning one, it's spinning the other. Then I hold it from this side, grab my screwdriver, and you don't need to go crazy tight because it's a lock nut, so it's not going to come loose. What you want to just make sure is that when you twist this piece here, the underside is spinning just like that. And you can see that there's no gap here. The pieces should look like they line up perfectly. And so with that, that's how you install the body side pieces. And so I'll be selling these in sets of 2, because I know some people have cab only, so they might only want to buy 2 of these and then 2 of these. So if you want to set up for a full TT-02 kit like this, where it's all 4, you would buy 2 of the chassis sides. And then in my case here for this vehicle, I would buy 2 of the 10 millimeters and then either 2 of the 12s or 2 of the 14s, depending on how tight I want that. So if you notice here, what I'm trying to show you is you can see how the body post, this can actually bend and rotate a little bit. So that's one of the reasons why a 14 goes in fairly easy, but a 12 is actually a little bit more snug. And so the way that I recommend you measure the angle is basically set your body on a flat surface. Right now I just have it on the truck, and then take your Android or iPhone, and there's lots of free apps out there that have just an angle finder, and you just set that and angle it, figure out what that angle is for this rear window. In my case, I think it was around 10 to 14 degrees. But then again, because the pieces underneath can actually angle too, you want to take that into account. So that kind of pushes me more towards the 12 millimeters. So with that, if you have any questions at all, I'm always happy to help figure out which ones you might need to select, or if you're having trouble selecting. And as mentioned, this is kind of pick and choose, mix and match. So you'll be able to grab 2 chassis side pieces, 4 if you need it, so on and so forth. You can kind of try it out, see what works, what doesn't work. But as always, if you have any questions or concerns, just feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to help. So thank you guys for checking out another one of my videos, and I will catch you guys next time.